Salutations, readers. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nkechi, and this is gonna be a Friday Reads. So right now, my reading's in a really weird place. So I figured that I might as well just update y'all on where I am currently in the month of October. I am not reading a lot. I'm not watching a lot. It's just that I don't know. I'm just in this weird, I don't know. I feel like I plateaued somewhere. Like I just took a dive and now I'm plateauing and I can't seem to go up or I can't seem to go up. So let me just give y'all just like an update on where I am in reading. But also I need to keep in mind that it is American football season, so there's also that in my mind. But like I've been having this problem even before American football season, so it's just now persisting. I think at this point, because of American football season, it is now plateaued. So at least we're not going to get worse, but it doesn't seem like I'm going to get much better. We'll see about like November and December, especially because right now in October, it's not terrible, but it's not looking amazing either. So I don't know. I just got to take it for what it is at this point. Anyways, let's just quickly talk about the books that I've DNF'd and paused. I only have one book I DNF'd and then one book I put on pause. So, unfortunately, I did put on pause to You Weren't Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White. I do have as an e-arc thanks to Saka Press, but I also did purchase a physical copy. I'm on pause. I'm like over 100 pages into it. I think like 42%. I'll get back into this when I'm in the mood for it. This is an adult horror, Andrew Joseph White's adult debut. It's heavy. There's just a lot there's a lot of dark shit in here. The main character is, technically speaking, unlikable. But I also sympathize with the main character because he is a trans man and he is now pregnant and he has to carry the child to birth. So that's terrifying. And it's just a lot right now for my brain to read. So I'll get back into this. Don't know when, but I definitely will get back into this. And then I'll let y'all know what I thought about it. But the book, though, I did DNF, and pretty quickly, I would say, is The Beautiful Ones by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. This is one for older works. This is I think it's fantasy romance-ish with a historical twist to it. I DNF this one at like 16%. I just didn't really care for the main character. Yeah, Nina, I don't care for the main character like at all. She reads as naive, but she's also headstrong, which is not a great combination for me to continue reading a book, especially since this is supposed to be a romance. I think this is some sort of like an age gap romance, which is not the worst thing personally at this point. I'm like, look, I've read other stuff as far as romance, so that's not the worst thing. I just could not care. I couldn't care any less about the main character, and I already know there's gonna be certain drama regarding her love interest and her cousin. Her love interest and her cousin have some previous history, so there's drama about that. And I'm just like, I'm not here for that, okay? I'm just not. I mean, I love to try anything by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, okay? Like, she has really cool costumes, and every single one of her books is different, but this one just did not work for me, unfortunately. So I put this one down, and I'm like, yeah, we're not coming back to that one. So that's it for books that I DNF'd and put on pause, and now let's get into the books that I started and continued. So I've only really started reading one book this week, and that is The Second Death of Locke by V.L. Bavellino. This is the first book in a series. I think it's specifically a trilogy. So I got it as an e-arc thanks to Forever Publishing. This is a story where we're following Gray that is pretty much a second hand to Kier, who is a mage, and in this world, there's like these lands that are in war with each other because there's this one land as one king. I don't know if it's a kingdom or just a land. I don't know. Island. Called Locke that just mysteriously just disappeared. It was destroyed. There was no survivors, nothing. Although I think if I remember correctly from the synopsis, there's supposed to be someone who claims to be the last heir of Locke. And if you are an heir of Locke, then you are there to help with like restoring magic because the land of like Locke was a source of these lands. All these lands is magic and how they get their wells and the mages and stuff and the source of the magic. So if you have the heir, you can restore the magic, kind of stuff like that. And the way this series is that they're interconnected standalones in this trilogy. So whatever really happens in The Second Death of Locke is mostly contained. I'm not very far into it. I've only read the first chapter, but that first chapter, I will say, initial thoughts on writing style and stuff is intriguing. It definitely reads a little bit slow, but it's slow in the sense because we're following mostly on the characters. It's very much more looking at the characters, less so on the plot. I think there's going to be a lot of political machinations, though, that's going to be going on, but it's going to be mostly character-driven. So if you're here for a plot-driven story, you're not going to get that, so temper your expectations. But I am indeed enjoying it. I do like the writing style. I do like seeing this depiction of a codependent relationship that reminds me of like the Locke series, which this book has been compared to as the Locke series, like specifically getting the ninth, and the Six Deaths of the Saint. So it definitely reminds me of that like Cavalier and their knight kind of thing, that bond. If you're familiar with that bond from the Locke series, it's giving that, but the second death of Locke. With Kier and Gray, they're both bisexual. I don't think there's known on the page just yet, but based on what I remember from the author's marketing, that's the story. So I'm indeed intrigued. I'm very much intrigued, and I really want to continue on. And this book is like a Lady Knight kind of story because, like, even though Kier is more like they're both like knights, but like they're both magical though. Like, we have Kier, who is a mage and has to source magic from Gray because she's a well. So, yeah, and I think this is some sort of secret we're supposed to find out. It's in the synopsis. I'm not going to tell y'all what that secret is. I remember reading it from the synopsis. I feel like somewhat a spoiler, but also not a spoiler, so I don't really know. Since, again, I'm only like a chapter of the way through. I'm only on chapter 2, so can't say much, but I am indeed intrigued. I'm intrigued. I'm curious to see where this story is going to go. So that's the book I started reading, and then I'm continuing to read Theft by Abdurazek Gurna. So I actually initially started reading this book in like June, then I put it on pause, and then I was able to borrow the audiobook. So I started physically, and then I'm borrowing the audiobook, which the audiobook is really working for me. So this is a historical lit fic book that takes place in Tanzania. We're following actually some sort of like a multiple of characters actually in Tanzania. And it takes place in like in the 90s and almost to the turn of like the 21st century kind. So it's very much in that time period in Tanzania that's feeling like, oh, we're moving on to more of the modern world. We're moving more to like more modern ideals, but then we also have like, oh, we want to still stick to tradition. It's very mundane, more like character driven, and I do find these characters to be interesting. I'm just trying to figure out what Gurna is trying to really say. I'm actually pretty far into it as well. I'm like at 59%, and I do find these characters to be interesting. They're not perfect characters, but they are interesting characters, which is not something I can always say regarding literary fiction, because I'm not really one for literary fiction, let alone historical lit fic. But Gurna's writing style is somewhat reminiscent for me to a Sally Rooney novel, but I think a little bit more interesting, not dry, because Sally Rooney's writing is more dry, while Gurna's writing, at least in this story, is more contemplative, it's more reflective, which is the kind of writing style that really works for my brain regarding literary fiction. So that's why I'm really enjoying this one. We'll see how this book ends, but I'm also trying to figure out why this book is called Theft at the same time. So I just got into like part 3, which is the final part, so I have like few chapters left. So I do have some thoughts as to why this book is called Theft, but again, I don't really know, to be quite honest. We just have like a multitude of characters, and they're all kind of related. There's a lot of connections between them, but now that I've gotten to the point in the story where certain characters are going to be in a different kind of situation than we were before, I'm trying to see how that's going to change for certain dynamics, and that's going to change for the rest of the story, since I do have like about 40% of the story left. So a lot of the story left, a lot of things can happen, and I'm very curious to see how it all really ends. But I am looking forward to finishing this, and I do think I'll read more from this author. And now I can finally talk about one book that I finished. I have finished a couple other books, but those books are actually going to be in a secret vlog project, which will not come out until next year. So I won't be able to talk about those books for a while. But the one book I did finish this month that I actually can talk to y'all about is Walk in Practice by Dolki Min, translated by Victoria Caudle. So this is a weird story, because I've been hearing about this book all year. So I think it was initially with Kayla from Books and Lala, and then I found out from Steph from Coffee Over Apples that she read it for her Interstellar book club, and I wanted to read more translated works. So I was like, okay, let me read this weird novella that's horror, queer, and sci-fi about an alien from another planet that crash landed on Earth and has to like changes their body to appear human so that they can get sexual pleasure from humans, but then also eat them for survival. So yeah, that's pretty much the story. It's mostly that, but it's also contemplative, it's also reflective. There's a lot of musings and exploration of gender, sex, and even disability because of this alien's original body, and how that they have to change the way they look so that they can appease, certain humans that they want to hunt and get sexual pleasure, but also feast upon. So that they look a certain way. And the major thing for them that they really hate regarding humans is the fact that since they don't have the right amount of legs, they can't really balance well. which means stairs are an issue. And there's a lot of regarding about the mobility for this alien and how it just made me think about like how other people cannot get certain places because again, physical disabilities, mental disabilities, just disabilities in general, and just access to that. And then also thinking about gender and how that is a social construct and how it's so dumb. And I'm like, yes, thank you. And about sex and the sexual desires and erotic, even though it's also horrifying because again, we have an alien that's literally eating humans, like eats everything about a human, the skin, bone, and everything except for hair. Apparently they cannot digest hair. This story is very, very weird, but I really liked it though. I think I was able to borrow the ebook from my library, and I think I had access to most of the audiobook through Spotify. I couldn't finish it via audio on Spotify because I ran out of iBook listening hours, but for the amount I listened to, I got a lot of it through the audiobook and also highway reading, and I wish I owned a copy because I had took a lot of highlights while I was reading. So I will just say this. This is a book I do recommend to read if you have not checked out this book, especially if you're interested in reading some like translated works, translated sci-fi / horror with some queer exploration as well. This is the one for you. I gave this one 4.25 stars. The ending, I didn't love the ending, personally. I would have rated a little bit higher, but the ending, I'm like, it kind of went around, but also I just didn't really like it. I didn't like the direction we went with the ending. I think it mostly makes sense, but didn't like it. So, yeah, that's it though. That's all my thoughts on Locke in Practice. Let's see, other media that I've consumed. I finally watched Inside Out 2, 2024. I like this one. This sequel is not as good as the original Inside Out 2015. I just love Inside Out. That was one of my favorite Pixar movies. So this sequel is not... I mean, it just didn't become like a new favorite for me or anything, but I still enjoyed it for what it was, with these new emotions, and how that we got to see more of Riley as a character and less so like her emotions. Like you get Riley like her personality in like the first movie, but now that she's older, she's 13 and stuff, and she's getting older, and now she's experiencing puberty and stuff. You know, we get to see more of her and her sense of self, which is a big major theme, is this sense of self. But I will say that I think I don't know about pacing, but I think the actual direction of the film is where I'm like, I don't think I particularly care for the direction of the film, because it is a different director than the first Inside Out. I think Pete Docter was the director for the first movie. The second one is someone else. I don't think I particularly care for the direction somewhat. I did appreciate that the sequence of events that we got to for the most part. There's some bits in the middle that I was like, I don't really know about this here. I think for what the movie was trying to do mostly worked. I just think that there's certain bits of the actual creative direction that I think it should have been a little bit different. That's just me personally. But I give it 4 stars though. I still recommend the sequel if you've watched Inside Out. So watch the sequel if you have not seen it already. I didn't really watch any other movies or TV shows, so I will briefly just talk about American football because again, it is American football season and I am a fan. I just need to talk about it, okay? So there's only really like 2 games I really want to make note about. One of them is for week 6. It was in the game that was in London, with Broncos versus Jets. Y'all, that was the worst football game I've ever seen. Like, oh my gosh, was that so bad? I did expect Broncos to beat the Jets, but I did not expect them to be that close. I expected Broncos to blow them out, but the Jets defense only allowed 13 points, and honestly, as far as the score of the 11, 9 of it was from field goal, and then defense had a safety, so that's pretty much it. I was like, wow, so field goal units plus special teams and defense did the thing. Offense, just nothing. And also, it's just, if anyone who's into sports and stuff, just know that negative passing yards to be negative 10 is so astounding to me. Like, how did that happen? Surely the worst game I've seen. And then week 6, Monday Night Football, it was a doubleheader, and they were upsets. Both of them were upsets. I'm personally upset with the Bears and Commanders game. If you did not know, I am a Washington Commander fan. I am sad that my team did not beat the Bears again. But if you turn the ball over 3 times, do you even deserve to win that football game? No, because that's also what happened to the Buffalo Bills. They also turned the ball over a few times, and Atlanta Falcons capitalized, just like the Chicago Bears did. But at least with the Commanders game and with the Bears, it was a very close game, while the Falcon-Bills game was like, no, the Atlanta just dominated that game. So, we're here with the surprises, the upsets. We're here. There's always at least a few upsets every week so far this season. And now I look forward to how Week 7 is going to look. So Week 7 is starting with Thursday Night Football. Bengals, Steelers. We have two 40-year-old plus quarterbacks playing. We'll see who outlasts the other at this point. Yeah, American football it's looking really weird this season, even though I've only watched the 2024 season, so I don't have that much of a basis, but based on analysis, sports analysis, NFL analysis, it's a very weird season so far. Anyway, that's it for my media consumption. So as far as some hopefuls, because I don't know if I'm going to do another Friday Reads in another week or two or anything like that, so let me just give y'all some hopefuls for the rest of the month even, or just like what I'm hoping to read and hopefully finish for the rest of this month. I did recently pre-order a book, and it finally came in actually a couple days ago, and that is The Death of Shame by Ambos Pari. This is the 5th and final installment in the Raven and Fisher mystery series. So I'm very, very excited that I have this book, and I am looking forward to start reading it and to finish reading it this month. We'll see. If I don't finish reading it in October, it's definitely going to go in November for sure. It's going to get read this year, okay? Very, very quickly. So looking forward to reading this one. I hope to read it pretty soon, but I do have other books, though, I really want to read, especially books I borrowed from my library, so we'll see if I get to that. I definitely expect myself, though, to start reading Son of the Morning by Akweke Emezi. This book literally comes out November 4th, so I need to read it way sooner than that, because, again, this is, my most anticipated release of the freaking year. Look at this cover, y'all. Look how gorgeous this is. I'm so grateful. I'm so excited. And I will be vlogging my experience reading this book. Yes, there will be a vlog. I promise y'all. You're going to get a vlog. And the vlog will not come out until November because I don't want my thoughts on this book to be out too soon before the release date. But the vlog, assuming I finish reading this book pretty quickly, y'all will get the vlog around the release date. Maybe the week, most likely the week of the release. And then one more book as well. I hope to start and also finish reading this month is Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is for my secret vlog project that it's not going to come out until 2026, but I am looking forward to reading this though. So yeah, even though The Beautiful Ones was not for me, I do think Certain Dark Things will be the one for me, especially since this does deal with vampires, and I love me some vampires. Y'all know I love me some vampires, okay? So this one I do hope to get through before November. So consider these 3 books as my October-ish, at least the second half of October TBR. More so Son of the Morning and Certain Dark Things for sure. The Death of Shame I could push into November, but definitely Son of the Morning and Certain Dark Things. Those two, I'm I gotta read it in October. But anyways, that's it, y'all. That's all I really have for y'all for these Friday reads. Thank you all, though, for watching this video. If you liked it. Comment down below how's y'all's reading so far in October. Are y'all participating in Black and White in your own way? And also, are y'all thinking about the fact that we're almost at the end of the year? We're practically... we're so close to the end of the year, y'all. My brain thinks November is end of the year territory, and my brain's okay, since we're end of the year, we gotta think about 2026. And are y'all, any of y'all like that, or y'all wait till December to be okay, we're at the end of the year? I don't know why my brain is end of the year is November. I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comments, okay? And also, if you're new here, you like my vibe, you want to know how my reading is going, I recommend subscribing if you're not already. Also, I would like to let y'all know that I do plan to have reading sprints during Halloween, so I think I already have the sprints scheduled, so keep an eye out for those sprints to come. And if you made this far in the video, you're not sure what to say, but you want to leave me an emoji, let me know you're here. Cross swords for the second death of Locke, a Tanzania flag for theft, and a mouth, some sort of mouth emoji for a walking practice. Anyways, thank you all again for watching this video, and I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye.